What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another World of Warcraft video for the War Within. Now today we are once again talking about professions in the War Within, and the topic of this video is setting up the ultimate farming character in the War Within. Now for this there's going to be multiple options of what to choose, but I'm going to be covering a couple of builds you want to go for when it comes to having a gold farming character in the War Within. So, now, first of all, I want to say that I have finally finished my War Within Goldmaking Guide, the first edition. I'm probably going to be updating this one quite a bit before the launch comes out, and after the launch as well. If you want to check it out, the link to the War Within Goldmaking Guide will be down below, and so far, it's 88 pages stacked with profession information, which builds to go for, what the professions can do, their full gold making potential, and we have found various gold farms on the beta for both skinning, cloth farms, group farms, solo farms, and you will have access to all of this in one purchase. That means once you buy the guide once, you will get access to all of the future updates sent to you for free, and you will also get access to a gold making Discord when you buy the guide. That way you can get early access to my videos, you can get exclusive videos, and exclusive information from me as well. Now in addition to that, if you did not buy my Dragonflight Goldmaking Guide, you will get that one for free when you buy the War Within Gold Guide. That way you can start farming gold right now and get prepared for the new expansion, so you get 2 guides for the price of 1. On top of that, you can get the War Within Goldmaking Guide for half price by using the code Solheim. So, 2 guides for 1, and that one is half price. Now if you bought my Dragonflight Goldmaking Guide, you can also get this one for free, so check your email and check the Discord server. Either way, if you want to make gold in the War Within, please check out the guide, it will definitely be helpful, and I will do my personal best to help you make as much gold as I can. Either way, let's talk about setting up the ultimate farming character in the War Within. Now the first thing you will want to have is a character with Herbalism plus mining. This is kind of the staple of gold farming when it comes to easy solo gold farms. Having a character with Herbalism and mining will just be highly beneficial. You can even be in certain group farms when it comes to both of these professions, and it's always good to have one character with both Herbalism and mining at the same time, just to double dip on the amount of gatherable materials you can get while flying a lap. Now for the most part, most mining routes will also be really good Herbalism node routes, and you can really farm both at the same time very efficiently. Now for those two, you just fly around, gather stuff, there's not much to talk about, but it's worth mentioning super early. Now when it comes to other than that, like other than just having a Herbalism plus mining character, let's talk about using Tailoring. When it comes to gold farming with Tailoring in the War Within, this works very similarly to how it worked in Dragonflight. Now there are a couple of different things from Dragonflight in the War Within, and mainly it's that it looks like only tailors will be able to loot cloth. Now that might be changed before the expansion comes out, but based on my tailoring or based on my beta testing so far, I can't get cloth on my non-tailors, meanwhile my tailoring gets them in abundance. On top of that, if tailors are the only ones able to get cloth, you can also increase the amount you get from going into textile treasures up to 100% additional cloth. Now you will also learn how to find weaver cloth bolts as well from humanoids from this tree, and once you fully max it out, it's about 100%, not about, exactly 100% bonus to your cloth gained. In addition to that, by speccing over here, and you can just learn this one, like learn this, and then you instantly learn a subspec, and by learning a subspec, you will then learn to find scraps of Dawnweave from humanoids around Castle Gar, and how to turn that into Dawnweave bolts. Now on the other hand, you have Duskweave, and in order to unlock the second one, you will have to put 30 points in here as well. So based on that, for tailoring, this is the spec you want to go for when it comes to farming cloth. This will require 60 skill points in total, but you can start getting about 75% of the effectiveness here from only having 30 points, and then the final 30 will unlock either Dawnweave or Duskweave as your second choice. So tailoring right here, that's the build to go for. Now for tailoring, you also want to pair this with a second profession. Now in this case, we don't have enchanting like we did in Dragonflight. Like, we still have enchanting, of course, but we don't have those lootable materials. If you played Dragonflight, we were able to loot epic, rare, and green objects that only enchanters could loot, and they could then disenchant. Those are no longer here in the War Within. Now on the other hand, we have Inscription, and from Inscription you can start using, or you can start learning how to gather Dark Moon cards from various mobs in the War Within. This is both open world mobs, dungeon mobs, and even delves mobs. So you really want to pair something like tailoring, where you're farming in the open world, with Inscription. And for Inscription, this right here is the build you want to go for when it comes to looting Dark Moon cards from mobs in the open world. Now hopping over to my Inscription character on the War Within on the beta, I just want to show you guys why this is the build you want to go for as well. And for the main build, like going over to Inscription right here, you don't have to put any points into archival editions to unlock the subspec. You just have to learn the specialization, and then you can instantly learn this sub-specialization. And upon learning this, or putting in, I think this is 10, 20 and 30 points, you can then unlock additional subspecs for every 10 points spent. Now, that's kind of where the magic comes in, because upon putting 15 knowledge points into Darkmoon Sigil Radiance, for example, you will then increase your ability to find Darkmoon cards by 50%. And then going over here, you will have the same one, increase your ability to find Dark Moon cards by another 50%, over here as well another 50%, and over here another 50%. So over here you're literally just building this out to be able to find Dark Moon cards way more often, and that is why you are going for this build right here, increasing your Dark Moon card finds by 200%. And once again, scribes can find Dark Moon cards in the open world, dungeons, and the delves tested and confirmed so far on the beta, and for that reason you want to pair tailoring plus Inscription. When you're farming, let's just say you're farming delves for cloth, for example, with tailoring, you will then be able to find Dark Moon cards as well, and by having this build you will find more Dark Moon cards. Now that's just for solo farming, but imagine the group farming viability here. If you're doing a 5-man cloth farm, or a 2x4 cloth farm as well, for those of you who are really advanced for gold farming, you know what 2x4 means, where you have 2 groups of 4 farming together because you share loot. You will kill so many mobs, and you will loot so much cloth that this right here will give you so much gold by itself, and then you have the Dark Moon cards on top that can also drop from those mobs. So the more mobs you kill, the more Dark Moon cards you get. Now I kind of want to show you guys this early, because this lets you start setting up your farming characters way before the War Within comes out, and at this point you have about 5.5 weeks, 5.5 to 6 weeks to set up your farming character before the new expansion comes out. So next up we have another build as well, which first of all you want to have Inscription on this one as well, but instead of having tailoring, you're going to have skinning. Now for the exact build you want to use for skinning, I can't really tell you, because it's going to be highly based on, well, different builds you can have for skinning. You can either use this build shown right here to increase your overall skill. On the left you will get more skill for leather, and on the right you will get more skill for scales instead of leather, right? And more skill means a higher quality of the material you're going for. Now on the other hand, you can go for luring for group farming, because the lures will then get reduced cooldowns whenever you skin a different mob. So for this character, you just want to pick a skinning build, go with that, and pair skinning with Inscription, because once again you can find Dark Moon cards, and they don't just drop from humanoids, they drop from any mob in the open world, dungeons and delves. Basically any Cassalgar mobs or the War Within mobs can drop these Dark Moon cards, at least as of right now, and that way you are just increasing the amount of gold and the profit you're making from the farms that you're already doing. And from skinning you can either either focus on the quality of leather you're farming, quality of scales you're farming. You can also go for example, there's different creature type materials, like there's bee type of materials, you have bones, and yeah, you can focus on those, kind of the rare species, uncommon materials from those. Or you can focus on luring, where you can learn to bait mobs and infuse your bait with certain materials to focus on crystalline powder, for example, and stuff like that. So skinning plus inscription is looking really good. Tailoring plus inscription is also looking really good right here. That's going to be another one. And to summarize this really quickly, character number 1, Herbalism plus mining. Character number 2, Tailoring plus inscription, and character number 3, Skinning plus inscription. Those are kind of the 3 different farming characters you want to set up for the War Within, and when it comes to a supplementary character to all of that, you also want to have an enchanter with the designated disenchanter skill tree, which will then give you more materials from disenchanting. Whenever you're doing a group farm, for example, for skinning or tailoring, you will sometimes, well, not just sometimes, but very often loot green BOEs, which you can then send to your designated disenchanter and loot even more greens from that disenchant. Going back to my enchanting character here on the beta, really quick, just to show you an example of that, you have 4 different skill trees right here. One of them is called a designated disenchanter, and the main skill tree here will then give you plus skill whenever you're disenchanting, and the more points you put in here, the more skill you will get whenever you are disenchanting, eventually getting plus 20 at the final tree as a bonus. And then on your designated disenchanter where you're sending materials, you really want to focus on the green part, and maybe even the blue, but you will very rarely send BOE epics to be disenchanted. If you have a main, that can be good to have an epic disenchanting on the main, because you'll be running mythic pluses and raids all the time, and then when you swap out the gear you can disenchant them for crystals. But when it comes to farming on one character and sending those greens to a different character, you want that disenchanter to be 30 points here, and then 30 points here, and then 30 points here, so like 90 points in total. And over here you have the uncommon utilitarian, which just once again gives you more skill when disenchanting green items, aka uncommon items. In addition to that, when you put in 20 points, you will learn to have a chance to create more storm dust when disenchanting uncommon equipment. And over here, when you max it out 10 points after, your chances of creating additional storm dust when disenchanting uncommon equipment are increased even further, so you just get way more storm dust. And eventually, the only way to make profit from disenchanting green items will be to max this out. And the skill when disenchanting really matters, because we can now get quality 1, quality 2, and quality 3 storm dust. The more skill you have, the higher quality material you will get when disenchanting. So, one quick last summary on characters you want to prep for the War Within. Number 1, Herbalism plus mining. Number 2, Tailoring plus inscription. Number 3, Skinning plus inscription. And number 4, an enchanting character. Whatever profession you go with enchanting is definitely up to you. I would recommend something like alchemy or tailoring. Well, you already have tailoring, so alchemy. Plus maybe, yeah, tailoring and alchemy for passive gold making. Alright, that's basically the video. A couple of professions you really want to prepare for the War Within when it comes to gold farming specifically. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and once again, if you want access to more gold making stuff, check out my gold making guide for the War Within. Either way, thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you again in the next video very soon.